Today we have a mini reference. Stay tuned. Mini reference, what does that mean? In the end, it's an amplifier that is very, very old, which is very, very small but still somehow very cool. It can't do much, but that's exactly why it's just right, in my opinion. What am I talking about all the time? I'm talking about this funny amplifier. This is a Pioneer PRS-D800. Admittedly, it's an amplifier that's a bit older. This model here is somewhere. Where was it standing? February 2014. So it's an older model. Nevertheless, the amplifier is still available new. Actually, it's a cool shed scan, and I think it kind of flies under the radar. Why does it fly under the radar? I'll put it this way. When you look at current tests, when you generally look at tests for amplifiers, then it's often the case that you also have to look at the test criteria based on the features. That means, how many filters does it have? How much bass boost does it have? How many subsonics does it have? And so on, so on. And the cool thing about the amplifier is it doesn't have that, let's take a look at it, means I could say something like, I'm unboxing it, but I've already unboxed it. How is it here? This is the little cute thing. A 2-channel digital amplifier from Pioneer from the PHS series. PHS stands for Pioneer Reference Series. So, the reference series from Pioneer, the largest series that they technically released this season? Yes. And what can this beautiful little gem do? Or how big is it anyway? So, you can see my hands. This thing is definitely not big. We're here at 25.5 centimeters. Same. In length, that's less than a din. It's as long as an A4 sheet. And just over approximately 10 centimeters in depth. And then we have a height of 5 centimeters here. 5 centimeters in height is actually, let's say, the standard for when it's a DSP or something like that. So the height is normal here. Otherwise, hold on. Yes. Actually, 3 of them almost fit on an A4 sheet. I always call those things whole. Funny. The way the chocolate bars are seen, that means. Back there, I don't know if you can see it. There are still 2 of them. And the 3 amplifiers are actually a cool 6-channel system. What needs 6 channels for? So, you can also set it up as a 2-channel system with a tap. We'll talk on the power specifications. Let's take a look at this. So, let's take the caps off here. Then we'll also see what we see. We can see fingerprints well, but they don't really matter right now. So, design, technically, there's not much going on here, but nonetheless. It's designed for functionality. On one side we have power. That means we have positive, negative, we have a remote input. And we have a 30 amp fuse. That looks good. On the other side, we have not much, definitely. We have speaker outputs, we have the gains for the individual speakers, and we have RCA inputs. So now if you say where over boost, sub, the crossover, where do I set the bass boost? And where do I set the subsonic? So, where do I set it? Whether it should be high level or low level. Where do I set it somehow? There's really nothing to set. And that's also kind of the cool thing about the little amplifiers. Because these things just work, just amplify. What you should do is just amplify without any frills. That means you can't just throw in a bass boost here, because there's no bass boost. You can't just randomly set a subsonic filter anywhere, because it doesn't exist. You can't just create a crossover. In my opinion, this is a perfect amplifier for an active system. That's why it's from the PAS series. At this point, Pioneer basically also assumes that you already have a filtered signal. so it's best to have a DSP in front. What a DSP is, I've explained before. And when the DSP is connected, then the right signal can come in here. Then you won't have problems. Then the signal that should go in comes into the RCA input. From the speaker outputs, it goes to the speakers. And here we have power. That's it. What does the good piece deliver? If you look at the datasheet, for its size, in my opinion, it's still a pretty awesome ampy. At 14.4 volt, all the values I'm about to mention are 2 times 125 watts RMS at 4 ohms, so 2 times 125 watts. At 2 ohms, the amp delivers 2 times 150 watts at 14.4 volts. And bridged, according to the paper, we're at 300 watts. Sure, the 150 2 times 150 watts at 2 ohms is basically equivalent to once 4 ohms bridged. So like it was connected here, 2 are missing here. Screws in the middle. And that actually brings us to approximately 300 watts on paper. If you take a closer look at the amp and actually check it on an amp dyno, then the values are similar. But it is indeed the case that at 2 ohms a bit more comes out. And also when bridged, there are tests where 2 ohms a bit more comes out, and also when bridged, there are tests where you get 430 watts at 4 ohms bridged out of this amplifier instead of 300. So that's already a massive difference. And that also makes it possible to run a subwoofer on such an amplifier. So approximately 430 watts is already considered quite a decent power range, where you can just run a 4 OGM subwoofer. 8, 10, or even possibly a 12-inch can be operated. Sure, no level orgies, but you can definitely have fun with it. I can confirm that. I had this amplifier installed for a long time. The amplifier is nice, very, very small. Weighs 1.6 kilos each. Can be operated between 2 and 8 ohms. At that point, I also had 8 ohm full range speakers connected here. It worked as well. Yes, and then these nice caps on top. And then you have a beautiful small amplifier. Beautiful little amplifier, which, in my opinion, is a perfect complement to a good DSP in an active system. In terms of price, this amplifier costs, for the box it's $399.95. Well, €399.95. Euros. Good, the amplifier is from 2014. Currently, the market price for this nice amplifier is about €52 used less. For the price, you can experiment a bit and test it out. I wanted to make this video to really thank this beautiful amplifier once again. I really haven't used it in a long time. And yes, to preserve this for future generations, it's a nice amplifier that I can recommend. No frills, it just does what it's supposed to. It has a lot of power when bridged at 4 ohms. You wouldn't really believe it from its size. It sounds good. It's super neutral. It does what it should. Nice amplifier. If this amplifier is something for you, or if you have any questions, just comment down below. I'm curious, otherwise we'll see each other. Thank you for tuning in and see you next time. Thomas.